Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Fall has officially arrived. The days are getting shorter, the nights a little cooler. There's foliage to see and apples to pick, and it's time for the Queen City Ghostwalk tours. Our guest today is the Queen of Halloween, who has been thrilling audiences with her ghost walks for nearly 20 years. She's a Vermont native and the author of several popular books, including Wicked Vermont, Ghosts and Legends of Lake Champlain, and Haunted Burlington. Thea Lewis is our guest this afternoon. Thea, welcome back to Across the Fence.
It's great to be here.
So you started the Queen City Ghost Walk in 2002, but were forced to take a hiatus because of COVID. Now that you're starting up again, how are your walks different?
Well, the walks are different in several different ways. First of all, because we started late this year, we have more fall tours than ever before. We really have packed a lot into September and October. And then because of COVID, we are taking extra precautions to keep all of our guests safe. And I think the last notable thing is we are doing everything all outdoors. We sometimes have big indoor events or bus tours, and this year we're all outside.
Okay, and you have some new offerings this year?
We do. We have a true crime tour I'm so excited about, and we have a tour called Fright by Flashlight for kids and their adventurous adults. It's an educational, historical tour that delves into vintage ghost hunting.
Great. And so talk about the true crime piece. Was there a particular inspiration there?
Well, several years ago, I wrote the book Wicked Vermont, and I found that looking through all of the old history of Burlington and beyond in the state of Vermont, there were so many stories, and not all of them fit into just that one book. I started thinking about the stories I had in the Burlington area. And so in 2019, I did some true crime bus tours. And I thought this year, my gosh, I've got enough just in the downtown Burlington area that I can actually do a true crime walking tour.
So who does that include? What does that mean?
Well, the True Crime Walking Tour is a mixed bag of crimes from the 1800s to the 2000s. We have people like H.H. Holmes, who I like to call UVM's deadliest student. And we also have Ted Bundy, who was born in the city of Burlington and we think returned and may have committed a heinous crime back in the 1970s. And then we also have a particularly interesting story from the 90s. Herman Yo and his wife Mary, and there are lots more stops, lots more tours for true crime, and it's like I said, a real mixed bag of nefarious characters.
Well, clearly, and that Bundy, that's the creepiest photo of that man.
Yes.
So let's talk about your Fright by Flashlight tour for kids and adventurous parents. It's a combination of storytelling and vintage ghost hunting methods. So tell us about the tools that you use.
Well, one of the things that old-time ghost hunters used to make sure they did before they went out seeking ghosts was to protect themselves. And one of the ways it's said you can protect yourself from an unfriendly spirit is by using a bell. The chiming of a bell is supposed to keep evil spirits away. So we definitely will be employing bells first thing on the tours. We also will be showing kids how to use compasses. A compass takes you to the direction of true north. It will point that way. But many times if there's a ghost in your midst, your compass may point to something else. And then another tool that we're going to be using on the tour will be pendulums. I've taken folks out, older folks, on tours in the cemetery and used pendulums. And with a pendulum, you can ask yes or no questions of the spirits that might be in your midst. So I think for kids, this is going to be something easy to do and a lot of fun.
Great. And, you know, of course, you're a history buff. So what are the historical aspects of your Fright by Flashlight tour?
so much history in the cemetery we're going to be touring with the kids this year. It's Lakeview Cemetery on North Avenue in Burlington, and there are the movers and shakers that made the city of Burlington great, people like philanthropist John J. Flynn, who started the Flynn Theater, but also we've got Horatio Nelson Jackson, who with Sewell Crocker made the first cross-country tour by automobile with his dog Bud. So I think kids will be engaged with this tour and the storytelling and with the science behind some of these tools.
So I think we have a picture of Bud as well. Is Bud buried in the cemetery?
I don't know whether Bud is in fact buried in the cemetery, but I can tell you that Horatio Nelson Jackson has distinguished company. He is buried in the family plot of Brevet Major General William Wells. He was married to Wells' daughter, and so his stone is not hard to find. If you find the big rough-hewn stone of Major Wells, then you're going to look around and find Horatio Nelson Jackson pretty handily.
Great. So where does all this take place, and is there a suggested age?
Yes, the Fright by Flashlight tour has a suggested age of 8 to 12. Of course, savvy kids a little younger or interested kids a little older might want to go, but I really do want to caution parents. If you have a child who loves Halloween things but is afraid of the dark, the light does grow darker as we're traveling through the cemetery on this tour that's about an hour long. It's not a tour for kids who are afraid of the dark.
Right, but there won't necessarily be people popping out behind
No, this is
gravestones.
that's one thing that we want to reassure people of. When it comes to any of our tours, we're not a costumed character tour. I'm certainly in costume, but we don't have people popping out of bushes. And we're also very respectful in the cemetery. We want to be mindful of the fact that the loved ones of people in the city of Burlington over the ages are interred there. So there will be a very brief lesson for kids about respecting the cemetery grounds.
That's great. So where can people get tickets?
People can get tickets by going online to 7daystickets.com. If you want to take a look at the schedule, a really easy way to do that is go to our website, queencityghostwalk.com. You can find the schedule for all of our tours, whether it's true crime, cemetery tours, for folks who are looking for a little bit more grown-up experience in the cemetery. We've got our Darkness Falls flagship tour. And this year we also have on Wednesday nights a waterfront tour, and each Wednesday benefits a different nonprofit organization.
Okay, awesome. And just quickly, how do you go about your research and learn about all these stories that are on your tours?
Well, there is so much folklore, you just wouldn't believe it, in Vermont, in the city of Burlington, and there are stories that people have been telling for decades and decades. What I try to do is match those stories up with factual information that I find in old local newspapers and at UVM special collections.
Okay. Thea, thank you so much, and happy hauntings.
Thank you so much, Fran.
Our next segment takes us to the UVM Horticulture Research and Education Center. For a half a century, the center has been selling apples at its location in South Burlington. It is now expanding its sales to include fresh-picked vegetables. We learn more from Center Director Terry Bradshaw.
This is our fall farm stand. We used to call it UVM Apple Sales for about 50 years, and then in 2014, when we started Catamount Farm and branched out into expanded vegetable production, we've changed it to the farm stand, or the Catamount Educational Farm Stand. Still apple heavy. It's fall coming in, so the bulk of what will be available will be apples, but we'll also have all the vegetables that we grow. Everything from at the very beginning of this season, which will be the end of our summer season, we'll have a little bit of our sweet corn, but we'll have, plenty of tomatoes, peppers, onions, potatoes, you name it, we'll have it. We're also going to be selling, as we have before, I think maybe because we've got more space, we'll be able to highlight a little bit more syrup from Proctor Maple Center.
What kind of apple varieties are available, Terry?
So we've got about 50 varieties on the farm. We're sort of in a transition. I actually, back in March, I was about to cut down an acre or so of orchard to make room for future orchard. And I thought maybe this wasn't the year to be cutting food down. We've organized a pretty good effort with Vermont Food Bank to glean a large chunk of that. I didn't leave that thinking that that extra acre of fruit was going to, put this farm over the top and, send us into fabulous riches. The main thing was keeping food out there. and I was expecting we probably would be donating a lot of it. So I think a large part of that acre will be going to various, both either the UVM campus food shelf or the Vermont Food Bank.
What sort of health and safety protocols are you putting in place?
We're following the standards protocols that were set forth by the Agency of Agriculture, the guidelines for farmers markets. We're basically a one vendor farmers market. One-way traffic flow. We will be having some pre-bagged fruit so that people who don't want to go through and pick their own fruit out of the bins are able to just pick up a bag and go. We'll have masks required for everybody on site the whole time we're here.
Hello.
The money for the farm stand has always gone to the operations of Catamount Farm. So we pay for some of our staffing, a portion of our staffing, but really most of it goes to pay to buy irrigation line and fertilizer and fix the tractors and just keep the farm going. It'll be interesting to see what the farm stand looks like this year. Reports are pretty good that farm stands are strong. I think we're gonna have a better farm stand than ever, so we've got more to offer people. We don't tend to do a lot of advertising. We're here, we produce a lot of food, and I want it to go to the community, but we have people who've been coming here for 50 years. So I'd love to keep seeing those folks. I'd like to keep them, coming and enjoying what they get in a new setting. But we've also are making a more concerted effort to market to the student population. We're only 4 miles away. We're not 40, we're not 400, we're pretty close. So I would love to get more students down here and community members. You don't have to be a UVM faculty or staff to come in the farm stand. In fact, most aren't. Neighbors, friends, just people who are interested in seeing what we do here.
Good afternoon. You too.
This is a really cool place. There's a reason I've stuck around for 25 years here. And so one thing I'd like to do while we're here, because we have a lot more space in the stand, is maybe put up some displays and highlight some of the other work that we do so people can learn about what the Horticulture Center is about.
The farm stand is open every Friday from 10 to 4 through early November. It's located at 65 Green Mountain Drive in South Burlington. Our thanks to Terry. And once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.